And we continue with the Christmas series with a look at New Year's resolutions. In recent years, I've forgotten trying to make resolutions because they're just pointless. As we all can attest, whenever we make those plans, we give up early on. But this year, I've resolved to change that. I decided that I'm going to make a head start and just carry on. Instead of starting on January 1st, I begin weeks in advance and will just carry on. As we all know, it takes 21 days to develop a habit, so I figured if I get a head start now and carry on to January 1st, afterwards it'd be difficult to stop. Over the past 6 to 7 years, I've purchased a lot of books, most of them from Amazon. I was clearing out my apartment a few weeks ago and found a basket of books that just sat there, forgotten. I'd only opened them maybe a few times way back when, but had since forgotten about them. I must have been eager to read them, otherwise I wouldn't have purchased them in the first place. And I forgot the reason as to why I bought them at all. Some were used, but they looked pretty new. And I abhor the idea of having a book there just for decoration. They're meant to be read. It's kind of the same how I feel about watch collections. There were a few books that I started reading but just stopped. Fear and Trembling by Kierkegaard was just sitting there. I haven't even gotten to Problema 1 and just stopped. I did read through Shakespeare, however. I read through Richard II, Richard III, Taming of the Shrew, King Lear, Macbeth, Hamlet, and Henry IV, Part 1. I read through American Nations by Colin Woodard, Dark Ages America, A Distant Mirror, Bran Luther, Putting the Supernatural in Its Place. They were all good books, and I genuinely enjoyed reading them, but they were also between 250 and 300 pages, so they were light. Well, except for A Distant Mirror, that was 700 pages or so. But I love reading about medieval history, so it was a breeze to me. I then bought The Witch by Ronald Hutton. I started reading it in 2019 and only finished it earlier this year. I figured a book about witches and witchcraft would be an easy read, but I struggled. It was so dry. My god, how could a topic as fascinating as folklore and magic be so dry? I then purchased Europe's Tragedy, A History of the 30 Years' War by Peter H. Wilson, and that book was like over 1,000 pages. And I got through it in 3 weeks. And The Witch was 285 to 300 pages. But back to my earlier premise. With all these books in my possession and never having been read, I decided to resolve to read them. Properly read them, not skim them like I did in college. I made a vow to read through them, and it was an attainable goal. They were under 400 pages, and if giving an hour or two a day, I could get through these books. However, it didn't help that I had purchased additional books during that time period. The biggest one was The Brothers Karamazov, but compared to Peter Wilson's book, this should be a little easier. I figured that could be my New Year's resolution because I'd already started on it and would just forge on after the new year. I did purchase a lot of books and needed to get through them in a meaningful way. I also bought a lot of highlighters too, as some of the books were philosophical or theological in nature. I read Louis Markos's From Achilles to Christ, Peter Newman's Jena 1800, and now I finished Fear and Trembling after highlighting and writing all over the place, and am close to finishing Part 1 of Repetition. So, here are the books I need to get through. The 10 Plays of Euripides, the Apocryphal Gospels, the Second Treatise on Government by John Locke, the Persian Expedition by Xenophon, Oresteia by Aeschylus, the Key Philosophical Writings of René Descartes, On the Trinity by Hilary of Poitiers, The Campaigns of Alexander by Arrian, The Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky, and the philosophical works of Plato. I devised a method to get through them. As we know, college is mainly spent reading. Reading. That's one of the reasons why I majored in film. You don't read as much as you do watching movies and doing student films. I mean, every other major, you just sit there, reading. So I figured I could treat it like a college course because I like the university environment. Imagine I'm working on getting a degree in, say, comparative literature and cultures. And these parts are just parts of the course. So the aforementioned books are just part of the spring semester reading list. And then once I've completed that, I'll move on to the next 10 to 11 books, and that'll be the summer reading list right there. I mean, I have it planned out too. And I know which books I'm going to buy too, because they're a mixture of literature, literary criticism, history, classics, philosophy, politics, economics, and theology. I mean, I never understood why people just read fiction, for instance. I mean, there are millions and millions of books out there, and sure, we can never hope to read all of them in a lifetime, but it makes sense to me to try reading from different subjects. I mean, they certainly have made their way into the works of others. So, that's my resolution. I'm going to read. I'm going to read all the books I have right now, and once I'm done, I'll move on to the next batch I'll presumably have ordered by then. And I'll keep it going. Someone once told me that a really good writer reads. And if you think about it, you're only as good as what you read. I mean, it's like exercising, really. I mean, the more you read, the more fecund you are, and the more ideas develop in your head. I mean, give it a try. It definitely works.